In our last lesson, we talked about the importance of having a strong and strategic team. I want to spend this whole lesson and this whole week talking about the most important person on your team. And since you've been kicking it with me for a while now, I bet you already know who it is. You. You are the common denominator in absolutely every area of your life. Whether you came into this group, this work to better your relationships or your job or your life's work or your purpose or to show up differently in life, whatever it is, you are the one thing that goes with you everywhere. Having a strong relationship with yourself is the most important part of this path. It is the path, right? We can't do self mastery without the self and bringing focus, attention, and care to the self. There are several reasons that people don't invest in themselves first. It's looked down upon in our society, right? We're taught that to bring attention to the self is selfish, it's wrong, it shouldn't be a priority, that we only have value when we are other focused, when we are outwardly focused, and when we have concrete accomplishments to show. And when we're doing the work inside, it's not always direct benefits that we can show and say, hey, look, see, this is different. I did this, right? But we definitely know from experience that there are very clear consequences, negative consequences to not focusing on the self. Those things look like burnout. They look like not being able to regulate your emotions and just blowing up or just showing up in a way that's really opposite of maybe how you're wanting to show up. It looks like getting needs met in indirect ways, so being manipulative or passive aggressive. It can show up in all of these ways that are less than fun because we're not first bringing attention to ourselves. It also is scary for a lot of us to sit with ourselves, to bring time and attention to ourselves. Because let's be real, there's stuff in there that we don't want to look at. In fact, it's a big part of why we were active in addiction and in unhealthful behaviors, because there's stuff going on in here that we don't want to see, we don't want to deal with, except we do, because that's why we're here, right? So, in the lesson today, I want to talk about some of these things that get in the way of bringing attention to ourselves and investing in what should always be top priority, especially on the path of self mastery. Now, of course, all of the work that we're doing in here is for the self and is for developing a deeper, more intimate relationship and awareness of the self. So, we're going to be talking about the things that sabotage here in today's lesson. And moving forward, we're going to be talking about all of the great tools and things that we're going to do to bring attention to the self. This lesson is going to be broken down into a few sections so that you can just consume each one on their own. Please do not skim over this lesson. Don't think that this one's not important because it has to do with you. This is the most important. You are the most important. You have got to be your star player. You have got to be your number one fan. You are the only one who is with you all the time. You might have developed a phenomenal team. They can't be with you all the time. They don't know what's going on inside you. They don't know your thoughts and your emotions and your feelings. And yes, you might share some of those, but they're not with you all the time. You are. You're the only one. If any of this is going to work, you have to have a strong relationship with yourself. And that means all of yourself. The parts that you're really excited about and the parts that maybe you'd prefer don't exist or nobody ever sees them, right? So take each section of this lesson seriously. Invest your time this week in these practices and exploring these areas of sabotage that we're going to talk about today.